On this week's episode of Marketing in 10, I'm going to answer a few listener-submitted questions.
This is Marketing in 10 with your host, Jim Lastinger. Real-world marketing strategies and tactics, all in 10 minutes or less.
Hey everybody, this is Jim Lastinger. Welcome to Marketing in 10, where every week we talk about a specific marketing topic or tactic and cover it all in 10 minutes or less. So a few weeks ago, I asked my listeners and social media followers to submit a few questions to put together a Q&A episode, and you guys definitely came through. So today I'm going to spend a few minutes answering your most pressing digital marketing questions. Okay, so I'm going to dive right in. Question number 1, do I expect Google's algorithm changes to slow down anytime soon? Okay, so this is talking about SEO and how Google's algorithm updates have shaken up the SEO world several times in the last year. Unfortunately, I expect this to continue. I don't see any reason for it to be slowing down at this point. So we've been getting major updates every few months with minor updates kind of sprinkled in between, and I definitely expect that to continue for all of 2022. So my best advice is to just continue following SEO best practices, do your on-page SEO, create fresh, high-quality content as often as you can, and ultimately you'll be okay. But just kind of keep up with the news and see if you can kind of tell what kind of trends are happening and what these algorithm updates are kind of doing overall. And as long as you pay attention to that stuff and kind of keep that in mind as you're creating content and building out your sites, you'll be okay. Next question. Have you seen any major impact yet from the removal of broad match modified? A couple of months ago, Google announced that they were removing broad match modified keywords from Google Ads, and that has always been my favorite keyword match type. Supposedly, they have rolled that functionality into phrase match keywords, so essentially a kind of a new version of phrase match keywords. And honestly, so far, I haven't really noticed much impact either way. And most of my accounts have already moved to phrase match and it's been working fine. So as of right now, I would keep all of your broad match modified keywords in place and just pause them and then try running the phrase match versions and see how they compare. I recommend keeping the broad match modifieds in the account and pause them because you won't be able to create them in the future. Okay, question 3. What's a good budget for a new e-commerce store? All right, so this is a question I get all the time. There's a lot of things that go into this. So I'm a firm believer that new stores don't need to spend a lot of money on ads right out of the gate because it might actually hurt your kind of long-term viability. You need to have some money in the bank to be able to operate. So you don't always have a big budget to spend a lot of money, but you definitely need to do some sort of advertising. So my recommendation is to shoot for something small your first couple of months. Maybe it's $250, maybe that's $500 a month. And see how much visibility you can get. So every market that you go into is a little bit different. Sometimes that $500 is going to get you a decent sized piece of the impression share. And that's the metric you'll want to pay attention to when you're first getting started. Pay attention to your impression share. Sometimes $500 won't even get you in the game. And that's something you need to know about as quickly as possible so you can kind of plan for the future. Kind of on the flip side, if you're talking about Facebook ads, you can always spend an unlimited amount of money there. So I would definitely hold off on that until you've experimented with Google Ads and have a feel for how much traffic you have out there. If you spend $500 on Google Ads and get 20% impression share, then you can kind of estimate that $2,500 will get you 80 to 100% of the impression share. So then it's up to you to make sure that you're actually profitable when you spend that much money. Next question. This is question number 4. It looks like video ads on Facebook are far more popular than image ads at this point. Can I get by with just image ads right now? Yeah, you definitely can. Many of the best performing ads out there are image carousels. So we know that images definitely still work. But in an ideal world, you'll want to use both images and video because different users are attracted to different things and you want to capture as much attention as possible. But yes, feel free to keep using images if that's what you have. Question 5, campaign budget optimization or ad set budgets. Okay, so this is talking about Facebook ads budget types. You can either set the budget at the ad set level or at the campaign level, and then you kind of let Facebook take it from there. So my recommendation is to use ad set budgets when you're testing new things. So testing new audiences or new creatives. That way you can make sure that what you're testing actually gets some visibility If you're setting things at kind of a campaign level, Facebook very well might kind of funnel all of that budget into what understands and knows is going to convert for you. So you might not get any visibility on new stuff. So definitely use your ad set budgets for new things, new audiences, new creatives. And once you know that you have a winner, whether that be an ad set or a creative or something like that, switch that over to your campaign budget and let the algorithm handle all of that at that point. Okay, and the last question of the day. How long do I need to run a PPC campaign before I decide to give up? All right, and this is actually a question I get quite often, but I'm going to rephrase it. So how do I know if I can be successful, if my company can be successful with ad campaigns? And this is something I always kind of start off this conversation with. I start off by saying that not every product or service lends itself well to a Google Ads campaign, especially products that aren't easily described or people don't know about. They're hard to advertise for. That's definitely true. Not every product is always going to be successful. So typically I tell people to give it at least 3 to 6 months. And if you've spent that much time working on your campaigns, so you're actively monitoring, actively tweaking, and you're still not seeing any results, then it's definitely time to reevaluate. Maybe it's your messaging or campaign structure that's the issue, but usually it's your product itself at that point. That's not what advertisers usually want to hear, but I see it all the time. Some products just don't sell. Some other things to think about. So if you're not getting many impressions or clicks, then maybe people just aren't searching for what you offer. In that case, you might want to try Facebook ads for a couple of months where you can target people based on interests instead. If you are getting clicks but not conversions, maybe there's an issue with your site or your product. So take a look at your website, take a look at your checkout flow, shipping processes, all that kind of stuff can lead into conversion rates. Thinking about things, like this and thinking through them in this order can kind of help you figure out where your problems are. But I typically recommend at least 3 to 6 months to give yourself a fair shot at you being successful. Okay, there you have it. That's my first ever Q&A episode. This one was a lot of fun, and I'll definitely be doing this again in the future. And I'll have a transcript and show notes are going to be up at jimlastinger.com/41. Check that out. And if you have 2 minutes, please take a minute to rate and review the podcast. That'll help me grow the show and reach more people and help more people, which is my ultimate goal here. And as a reminder, you can go to jimlastinger.com/guide to download the free guide that I've created that shows you exactly how I recommend you manage your Google Ads accounts. And it's the exact process that I use for managing accounts in just 30 minutes a week. So this is what I teach my coaching clients and what I put into practice with consulting clients. So go download that today. It's at jimlastinger.com/guide, and I'll have a link to that in the show notes as well. But that's it for this week's episode. I'll be back soon with another episode of Marketing in 10. Until then, have a great day. Take care, guys.